mics.
Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, the last Liberal budget had a fiscal anchor of deficits of less than 1% of GDP. This budget doubles those deficits, averaging 2% of GDP. The last Liberal budget had a fiscal anchor of declining debt to GDP. This budget increases debt to GDP. Will the government admit that its fiscal anchor is weaker than the previous Trudeau government's?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Speaker, I know they're having a bad week over there.
Oh, God, this guy
Yesterday, we tabled
again.
an historic budget to build our economy for Canadians, by Canadians, so we will never be reliant on one country again. We will spend less on wasteful spending so we can invest in our country and build our country.
Carney's literally trying to rely
the
on
strongest economy in the
China,
G7.
but okay.
Mr. Speaker, from Canadians from coast to coast to coast, support our budget. It's time for us to come together in this House like Canada. Time for the party opposite to support our budget.
The Honourable Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, last July, bond rating agency Fitch warned that a material rise in the debt to GDP and a material rise in our deficits could lead to a credit downgrade. This budget doubles deficits and leads to ever-increasing debt to GDP. Will the government acknowledge that it is putting this country's credit rating at risk, not only to mention that it's saddling younger Canadians with a mountain of national debt?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Speaking of young Canadians are looking at this budget for generational opportunities. We are unlocking new markets for them. Budget 2025, we're getting young Canadians, young entrepreneurs ready to get export ready through our SMA readiness program. Secondly, once they're export ready, we will launch the Can Export program to support them attend trade shows globally to showcase their goods. And once they have orders ready to go out, EDC will step in to support them to get into new markets around the world. This is how we're helping young Canadians and young entrepreneurs access new markets and create jobs here at home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, in 2015, 6 cents of every dollar was used to pay interest on the national debt. Yesterday's budget confirms that that number will more than double to 13 cents of every dollar. That's almost $76 billion going to bankers and bondholders to pay interest on the national debt. That's even more than the government will receive from taxing and GST. This, when the finance minister says he's making generational investments, is he just saddling the next generation with his unaffordable budget?
Yes.
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite simply is overlooking that Canada has a AAA credit rating, the lowest net debt to GDP ratio.
They're obsessed with the AAA credit rating thing.
Has been world acclaimed in terms of a home for direct foreign investment, top of the G20 there, Mr. Speaker. The difference between that side of the House and this side of the House is that we believe in Canada. We believe in Canadians. We're diversifying supply chains and we're investing in our population so that we become the strongest economy in the G7. We ask them to join us.
The Honourable Member for Simcoe North.
Speaker, the difference is that every Liberal finance minister seems to keep breaking their fiscal promises. They said the deficits would be low and temporary. They were long and very large. They said the deficit would be capped. They said the deficit, the debt to GDP ratio would continue going down. The ratio went up and the deficits blew through the cap. Now we have a new finance minister with a new, weaker fiscal anchor. Will the finance minister confirm that this anchor is weaker, and how long before he breaks his promise too?
The Honourable Minister.
They also haven't mentioned anything yet of the floor crossing.
Mr. Speaker, we are a nation of builders. We're building it for young people. We have the best net to GDP ratio in the G7. We are building affordable homes. We're investing in trades and hospitals. We're creating 100,000 new summer jobs. We are investing in entrepreneurs. Why, Mr. Speaker? This is a budget of resilience. This is a budget of strength. This is a budget of hope. Why don't the Conservatives join us and build Canada strong?
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister just delivered one of the most expensive budgets in Canadian history. He promised promised fiscal responsibility during the last election, but Canadians got a staggering $80 billion deficit instead. That's $80 billion in new debt that will drive up the cost of food, housing, and everything that Canadians buy. After hearing all this talk about change, Canadians are left wondering one thing. How is this Prime Minister's out-of-control spending any different than Justin Trudeau's?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Canadians across this country empowered us in the last election, and now we're empowering them in Budget 2025. A budget that will make generational investments to create the strongest economy in the G7. That's exactly what we're doing. We're building major infrastructure, homes, and industries. We're protecting our communities, borders, and way of life, and we're empowering Canadians with better careers, strong public services, and more affordable life. We know a strong country can be even stronger, but it takes vision and leadership. It's too bad the Conservatives have neither.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister isn't investing. He's spending on the backs of future generations. In fact, because of his reckless spending spree, Canadians will be paying over $55 billion a year in interest alone to service the debt. That's more money spent on interest payments than on health care transfers to help patients. Does the Prime Minister realize that his spending is lining the pockets of his banker and bondholder friends instead of funding our doctors and nurses?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Prime Minister doesn't only have a vision for what this country is now, but what it is going to be. That's why he has assigned multiple ministries to work on transforming healthcare in those critical spaces in the north, spaces that always lacked investment on this side of the House, spaces that never seen the light of day with having support on this side of the House. We're inviting them to finally come into those spaces, support Indigenous people with those critical services. It is something that we know all voters are asking for.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday Canadians got a taste of one of the greatest sins a government can commit. Overpromise and under-deliver.
That's right.
The Prime Minister promised a generational and transformational budget crafted by the so-called master of monetary policy. Instead of reducing the deficit and showing fiscal discipline, he produced one of the costliest budget deficits in our nation's history. Rather than providing relief to Canadians by reducing the industrial carbon tax, he chose to increase it. Mr. Speaker, why is the Prime Minister raising the industrial carbon tax and making food even more expensive for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This budget is about focusing on youth. Our government is investing in youth, particularly Indigenous youth. Investments like in Inuit Nunagat University. It'll be a landmark step forward for education and reconciliation in Canada. It'll strengthen local economies, build capacity in the north, and support Inuit-led research. We hope the members opposite will support this initiative and vote for the budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Thayendanegea.
Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, food professor, has quoted, "That's been our concern from day one. The gap between wholesale prices in Canada versus the U.S. food wholesale prices have actually increased, and we believe that one factor driving this is the carbon tax. It doesn't take a central banker to figure out that eliminating the industrial carbon tax will help lower food prices. Mr. Speaker, why is the Prime Minister choosing to raise the industrial carbon tax when so many Canadians can barely afford groceries?"
That's a great question.
Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Canadian Climate Institute most recent research shows industrial carbon pricing have essentially no cost on groceries. In the face of uncertainty, Canadians are going to build the future we want to build for ourselves. As we work for build the strongest economy in the G7, Mr. Speaker, our new government is helping our agriculture, fish, and seafood sectors adapt and respond to the economic challenges. This includes a new trade diversification strategy and $75 million of agri-marketing. I suggest they dig out their red and white sweaters and get them on and get on the bus.